Hello, everybody. Thank you for clicking on. Um, I was planning on starting this evening out with a funny um, animal video that I had found, but we will save that because um we got some serious stuff going on. Thank you to Rooster. We are currently restreaming Rooster Doll. And this is what's happening. This is from a stream from Los Angeles. Protests have been going on. Most of you are probably aware. Um, Thus far, everything has been peaceful um, to our knowledge. You got to realize it is 12:02 a.m. on the East Coast. That means it's 9:02 p.m. on the West Coast, and things are just starting to happen there. We've heard some reports, unsubstantiated reports of things happening in Seattle, Portland, and San Francisco down the bay, unsubstantiated reports. We're going to come back to Rooster Doll in just a few minutes. And again, she's restreaming what's happening on the ground. And, there's no need both of us doing that at the same time. So if you want to stay up to the minute on what's happening on the ground, go over to Rooster's channel, watch Rooster, and then come back and watch this on the replay when we're done, because we're going to be featuring the Antifa episode from a couple of years back. And I think everybody will be interested in seeing that. In the meantime, I want to flip this up real quick. This. Okay, this is just when I click on YouTube. As all of you, a page comes up like this, and you can go wherever you want to go and blah 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 blah. The only reason I'm drawing attention to this is this right here. Breaking news coverage, riots in America. Okay, and that's the picture that's being shown. Let's just zoom in a little bit here.
Lost his life.
Whoa,
I didn't watch the video.
Hey,
I haven't seen the video.
Hey.
I've been.
Okay. Come on. I'm sorry. It is way too. Here, let's do it again. It probably won't be up now. It's not, but I am all right. But you get. I hope you saw enough of it there before. Again, I thank all of you so very much for this computer, those that helped to make that happen. It is incredibly touchy, and I'm getting used to it, and I do apologize for little bumps like that. So I just wanted to point out that it's already being marketed as everything's on fire, and that's what a lot of people expected to happen. For those that have been watching the show for a long time, you know that because of the way I handle my business, I've got some contacts in the Black communities, and they are incredibly frustrated. They are beyond frustrated. But the concept is not about, the message is not burning and looting. Because that accomplishes nothing but negativity. The message is hit them in the pocketbook, hit them where it hurts. And city after city after city, you're starting to see this happen. I just want to point that out. Okay, again, as we always do, just giving you something to think about. So we're going to hop back over here to Rooster Doll, and I'm going to be doing this. A few times this evening. We're not going to just, constantly restream her. So if you want to be totally up to date on everything going on, hop over to Rooster, and again, then please come back and watch this at a later time. Let's see what the volume is, what the volume gives us here. And we're not playing. There we go. Okay. Can't play this very long. Okay, I can't play that because I will get a copyright strike, and we don't want to do that because when we do that, the chat doesn't show up, and people that watch the replay can't see what chat's saying. So we will pop back over here. Just can't stay here at the moment due to copyright because they are playing produced music that is not out for non-copyright. So let me hop over to the chat real quick. It is late night America, and thank you for everybody watching. If you're some people from outside the country requested we do a late night, we go back to late night, and I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. But every once in a while, when warranted, we will do a late night in America episode, late night America episode, and it is warranted. I'm not going to show the footage of the body cam footage, the camera on the pole. I've watched it all, and actually, in all honesty, about 10 minutes before I was getting ready to come on, I started getting really sick to my stomach. And I just said, hey, you know what? I'm not going to show this. I'm not going to show this. People can go see it. We get some different content here other than all of that that's going on. And I do think the whole country felt like things were going to erupt. I felt that way, but kudos to the leaders of these organizations that thus far are realizing the optics of peace, and also realizing the power of impacting financially and doing so peacefully. I hope it continues. I really do. Okay, I'm going to hop over to the chat for just a second. Mater, hello, Mavis, Pat Tolliver, Sissy McLeod. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm not going to run up to the top yet. I'll do it before I get going here. Let me run up to the top. GA from CA, thank you for being here. Always be kind. And if I missed anybody, feel free to hop in the chat if you're watching. Wayne. Yeah, there were a whole bunch of police involved. It was more than just the 5 that have been fired and charged. I think they were charged with second-degree murder, and that was in the Memphis incident. Also came out today. I can't remember his first name. Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi. The body cam footage from police came out on that, as well as the 911 call. So a lot of stuff happened today. And I told you last night, those that watched the show, I said last night, on Fridays, they break big stuff. It's a dump day. It's a day they want to push stuff out that they don't want to deal with and hope something really bigger comes along that kind of overshadows it. Well, the Paul Pelosi video came out today. Paul Pelosi 9/11 or 911 call came out today. And then this comes out Friday night, comes out 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that did 2 things. It pushed it into the news cycle of tomorrow. And it also made it a little less, it gave a lot less time for people to activate. You had to see it first before you're moved enough to move. And with all that being said, tomorrow, Saturday, I'm anticipating a lot of activity across the country. Again, I hope it all stays as peaceful as it has appeared to be thus far. And I've got emails out to everybody. You know, we're going back to 2020 in an episode tonight. You know, we're going to look at the Antifa episode. We're going to watch the Antifa episode. And going back to 2020, I had a lot of contacts all around the country because the stories were in, they were in Minneapolis, they were in Kenosha, Wisconsin, they were in Louisville, of course, you know, they were in St. Louis, they were, the stories were everywhere, and they just kept coming more and more and more, you know, Elijah Mitchell and so I reached out to the contacts that I had and said, you know, hey, you know, this, we may be coming to another such situation, and it may be a very tenuous summer, you know. If you hear anything, let me know. So trying to reactivate that old network, if you will. And if you're a regular watcher, you've got my email. If you know something's going to be happening in your area, or if something does happen in your area, you know, let me know so we can get the information out there. Tyree was 80 yards from his mother's home. Yes, Sissy. I didn't realize that. I know that his last words were, you know, he wanted to see his mom. Horrible, inhumane thing, in my opinion. Again, I'm not going to show it. You can go see it. There are plenty of other places to see it. And it has sparked something that, you know, that is different potentially. Okay. Here's the thing about what's going on, in my opinion. There's an opportunity here for unity, potentially. Not 100% mass scale, kumbaya, everybody loves one another. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a coming together over, look, okay, once and for all, this is not about race, okay? If this becomes about race, if it's made to be about race, and when I say it's not about race, it is, partially it is, but it can't be, it can't turn into an exclusive thing, because these were Black police officers killing a member of the Black community with total disregard. Okay, this was not all white cops killing a Black man. All right, this is Black police officers treating a member of their own melanated community like an animal or worse. And that happens to white people. That happens to all colors of people, all shades, all skin tones, whatever terms you want to use. And that's something that should not be pushed aside. Yes, it happens in percentage-wise an overabundance to the Black community. I'm totally aware of that. I've been talking about it for 2 years. I wanted to stop as much as anyone. But there's a chance here to push it a little farther, to make it about something more, to make it about humanity in total, and about really becoming the greatest country in the world, and really truly showing the Constitution is not a dead piece of paper, but a breathing inspiration to what our country and the country is it's us. The country is the citizens, and there's a chance here to push it a little bit, just a little bit farther towards what potentially this country could and should be, in my opinion. All right. Let's go to breaking news real quick. And as you can probably imagine, a whole bunch of the breaking news is in regards to what has happened today, what we've talked about. Video shows Tyree Nichols calling for his mother, beaten by officers that have now been charged. They were also fired, 5 of the officers. New York Times court releases video of Paul Pelosi hammer attack, adding chilling details. Yeah, that would. Come on, no, I know, I can't use the New York Times. I'm aware of that. Also, I can't. I'll tell you after the headlines if I remember. BBC News, Jerusalem. There was a synagogue attack. 7 people were killed, and a shooting attack. Benjamin Netanyahu, the new prime minister, visited the scene. And now I've done this. Here we go. All right. Let me get off of there. January 6th rioter. This is from Politico. January 6th rioter who maced Brian Sicknick, sentenced to 80 months. And from the Washington Post, the Justice Department has asked the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, to stand down. I talked about how violent, how falsifying a record by forging the name of someone as your treasurer who clearly states, no, I'm not the treasurer, and no, I did not sign that. That's a felony. I went through that last night. The Justice Department has said, would you stand down? Ask the FEC not to go out because I told you the teeth had been blah, 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 blah. Well, Justice Department has something bigger they want to go after. This is all about George Santos. I know I can't use the Washington Post either. And finally, from NPR, the Republican chair, Ronna McDaniel, has been reelected for 2 more years. So the Republicans are doubling down and keeping all of their leadership in place. I can't get on Twitter. And I think it might be because the name of the channel is American Doofus channel on YouTube. And I'm a media channel. I'm classified as a media channel, and I don't pay the $8 a month to get a little blue check mark. So, but I am working on it. I'm going back and forth with the people from, there we go. Going back and forth with the people from Twitter, and hopefully we'll have our Twitter scroll back soon, but not at the moment. No, I don't. There we go. Chilled is breaking that Starbucks window, gonna bring the guy back. I as far as I know, they haven't broken any Starbucks windows. But no, it won't. No, it won't bring anybody back. What it will do is draw negative attention, just as if you'd been listening earlier. Anyway, let's hop back over to Roosters for just a few minutes. Again, Rooster's going to be doing. Rooster's got the West Coast covered at the moment, and if you want to stay up to date with what's happening, go over to Rooster. make sure and watch her. Of course, subscribe, like, and let's see if we can get some volume. If we don't have any music. Again, thus far, everything we've seen has been peaceful. It will, of course, it will be twisted to fit narratives, as we've already seen, as I've already showed you on YouTube, that everything's on fire all around the country, and just not the case. Now, that could change tomorrow. Again, this came out at the body cam footage came out at 7 p.m. approximately Eastern time, and this tomorrow will be a more indicative day of how big this protest becomes after seeing that that again, inhumane footage is the best way I can put it. We'll pop back over here to Rooster in a little bit. In the meantime, we're a good time to do this. Hello, always be kind. Hello, Smoke Wagon. They are still, I knew you'd make a skinny. As soon as I saw Smoke Wagon, I knew Skinny Jeans would be involved in there somehow. Okay, we're going to go back. The Wayback Machine. What was that? Mr. Peabody. And what was the professor's name? The Wayback Machine. Where is it? There we go. All right. Hold on a second. I remember. Telescope says no one wants to advocate for violence, but the people are there to protect and serve. But the people there to protect and serve are committing violence. Okay. All right. We are going back. It says 2 years ago. I don't have the exact date. The episode is Billy from the Bay Area with information about Antifa Coalition, and I'm just going to let it play. I might skip through some parts, but the majority of it is we're just going to let it run. Hello, everybody. Once again, thank you for watching. This is another episode of the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. I'm your host, Barry Welsh, and we talk about things on here other programs don't talk about. And we talk about news that's alternative. We talk about things that are going on that don't draw the attention of mainstream media. And of course, when we have our programs, the guests that come on, their opinions are their own, as always. And we want to welcome somebody tonight that I've been looking forward to talking to. His name's Billy from the Bay Area, San Francisco originally. And Billy, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And okay, going to pause it for just a second. I did the intro there. For those of you that are here because of 1776, as I said, I've always covered stories that weren't getting enough attention, and I felt more attention needed to be drawn to. That's how I got involved covering and reporting on 1776. Just a little aside there. Here we go. It's important because you're going to give us some clarity on what Antifa is. And from what I've gleaned, Antifa is an idea. Antifa was a group that was formed in Nazi Germany and then surfaced here in the United States in the 70s to battle the skinheads, if I'm not mistaken. But is the present day definition of Antifa more of a coalition or a group of like-minded groups as opposed to an individual group?
Yes, before I get started, I do want to just point out that I am speaking for myself. I'm not a member of any particular organization.
Right.
And that includes the fictional Antifa group.
Okay, Antifa is a fictional group. There is no such thing as a group called Antifa, correct?
Correct. And just to point out that I believe one of the recent FBI directors did also say that when he was questioned in Congress, because Trump made those outrageous allegations to label Antifa as some kind of terrorist organization or something. And it's an umbrella of ideals of anti-fascism. You're either on the side of supporting fascism or you're on the side of being against fascism.
Okay.
And so, I just wanted to say that, but yeah, there we go.
All right. Okay. And your background, you've got anti-racism, anti-discrimination, anti-authoritarianism, anti-fascism.
And so what that means is that we, in our coalition, we are going to have many different groups. I myself am all about peace. I don't participate in punching Nazis or things like that. I also don't shed a tear if some white supremacist like Richard Spencer gets punched in the face. I'm not going to be defending that person.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I myself have been kind of involved in different anti-fascist actions on and off for 20 plus years, mostly out in the Bay Area. Like for me, like I'll just give you an example.
Yes.
They had a action a couple years ago with that former Breitbart individual. There's like Milo something.
Right, I remember that. Yes.
He was in Berkeley. They approved him to go speak there. There were some of my brethren, anti-fascists in the coalition that did not want him to speak there. I myself did not see him as a threat.
Okay.
And didn't necessarily see him as a white supremacist. He definitely sympathizes with those people, but I was actually okay with him speaking there because I wanted somebody to debate him and just take him out that way. Right. Other groups were not for that, and they shut the whole place down. And some people that I know were part of that, and I respect them and their points of view. But for that particular action, I personally did not participate in that.
Okay.
But so I guess for me, I just want to just say right out in the open, I like your show. I appreciate what you're trying to do. That organization against all racism. I think that's what you're doing is great.
Thank you.
My only criticism really right now is that you've given a platform to the Boogaloo people. In all my years, I've never seen anybody from any groups. I don't want to say names of groups because I don't want them to be stereotyped or things like that. But never once has anybody ever said, "Oh yes, the Boogaloos are on our side. Oh yes, we're calling the Boogaloos to be security for us and bring their guns. We've got our own weapons. We don't need Boogaloo people coming in." Just one quick example. when the most recent BLM things were going down, there was a federal agent that was shot in Oakland.
Remember, this was 2 years. This was 2 years ago.
The media were all over that, blaming all the social justice people out there fighting for for justice, and blaming that group and other legitimate groups for killing a federal agent. And later it came out that it was supposedly Boogaloo was arrested. And that was just a quick little cliff note. And then people moved on from that. And it kind of gave a very negative light to the whole movement, with George Floyd and all that. I don't know anybody that ever invited the Boogaloos to join them. And, so I just want to throw that out there that.
No, that's important information. It's important information to get out.
So, and we're talking about, the Boogaloos setting up some kind of march on the Capitol and all this stuff. That is just, as far as I know, all my contacts and all the people that I know and all the groups that I've been part of, not one of them want to have anything to do with that or want to be part of that. So
that's good to know too. That's good to know too. It's good to know who is in locations. The Boogaloo have said they're going to come out on the 17th, if I'm not mistaken. And those that are calling themselves patriots are planning on coming out tomorrow. Is that what information you have as well?
Yes, and just to throw out there also, another thing having to do with the Boogaloos. I know you talked about wanting to set up kind of like a conference to have all different groups come together and discuss, try to work things out.
Yeah.
I don't see if the Boogaloos are going to be part of that. I don't see any of my brethren, any of my comrades, any of them want to participate in that, because we don't. It's at least for me.
How do you personally? How do you view the Boogaloo movement?
I look at them as not necessarily being white supremacists, but being sympathizers, marching with. There's going to be all these militia groups, these far right militia groups, and these right wingers coming out there on the Capitol. And the Boogaloo apparently are self-admitting that they organized this for several months now. And the only way I could see myself or other like-minded folk coming to a peace conference would be as if the Boogaloo members renounce their organization and what they're all about. I just don't see them as allies. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I want to be completely transparent with you. I like your show. I like what you're doing, but I do not like giving that person or that group a platform to say what they're going to say. We could have an honest disagreement, agree to disagree, but that's that,
Yeah, fair enough. Do you anticipate like-minded brethren being in Washington, D.C. this weekend, being in state capitals? Or is this one that, we're going to stay home and let the troops and the police do their thing?
Yeah, for me, it's not my role to be defending Nancy Pelosi or those folk. I know in the past we have had some actions to defend electors or defend the vote, because it seems like these Trump cult people are targeting black voters, where they were trying to disenfranchise Atlanta, Detroit, Philadelphia. You see the pattern,
right?
And we're not for that. You got to look back. You talked earlier about the history of Antifa and them in the streets battling the brown shirts.
Right.
It actually,
1939 Nazi Germany before.
Yeah. Well, you could also look at I was about to say the Spanish Civil War.
Yeah.
They have that famous British writer that went there and fought
Ernest Hemingway. Ernest Hemingway.
And also George Orwell.
Yeah.
Also went to Spain, and they were not defending a communist state or an anarchist state. They were defending a democratically elected government.
Yeah.
Which a fascist was trying to overthrow. And sadly, did accomplish that goal for a whole host of reasons. But it just kind of shows you that being an anti-fascist does not mean that you're a far leftist. It's a very wide, the biggest umbrella you could have for an organization that's fictional, because it's like I said, it doesn't have a board of directors. There is no one leader. Like I pointed out earlier, the stuff in Berkeley, some groups in the anti-fascist coalition were for that, shutting down that debate. Other groups were not for that.
Okay.
But we all stand together against. Let me give you another example. The issue that in Montana, I don't know if you remember that, there was that Jewish person in Montana, and neo-Nazis came out, trying to think of what the name of that terrible organization. It might have been the Daily Stormer or Stormfront, one of these right-wing fascist groups, and they came out and tried to go after the Jewish people. And they end up they sued and actually won the lawsuit. But we stand with our Jewish brethren, with those that are oppressed. And I just want to throw that out there.
Okay. And you mentioned that a little bit ago. You mentioned that you don't need the Boogaloo's guns. That Antifa have their own weapons and own strategies and.
Well, there are some groups that are all for peace and follow Gandhi and Martin Luther King, and do not have arms and are on a completely 100% peaceful way. There are other groups that do support the right to bear arms and to defend ourselves. And I'm just going to throw out there that that thing that happened on January 6th, the insurrection by the Trump cultists. There were some self-defense. I don't know if you saw any of the footage, but there were some self-defense, some black organizations for self-defense. I'm not going to say names, but they were out there in Washington, D.C., and they came out there because they didn't want to have what happened before in December with the Proud Boys trespassing black churches and desecrating things. And they came out there. There were some live streams of them walking around protecting black-owned businesses, and I could see them coming back out to make sure that these people marching on the Capitol, that the residents will be defended. So I salute them for coming out there, and because it's a city that doesn't have open carry, they did come out there unarmed, but they came out there with their bodies on the line to defend these churches, to defend these black-owned businesses from these insurrectionists.
And that's how that's how I view the Trump people as well. But you call them cultists.
Yes, I because fascism is a lot more than just one person. But right now, it does seem like it is one man.
There's a cult of personality going on.
There is
Trump.
And I want to say something else too, that Biden is no friend of peace movements and things like that.
Right.
But he was legitimately democratically elected, got over 80 million votes. And I know some activists that actually went from California. They went to Arizona, they went to Georgia, and they went to register people to vote. They went to give support to these people. And they were part of the reason for flipping those states Democrat. And I'm just going to say, they are not themselves Democrats, but they were looking at the bigger picture. And it's a fascist threat, and everything Trump represents is that. So I don't personally see different Antifa, anti-fascist groups coming out to, battle Proud Boys or any of these terrible organizations. But I could see, like I said earlier, I could see some self-defense groups coming out to defend these places, because we already know that, the U.S. government, they're not necessarily out there to, back up some, defense.
They have their own interests.
Yes, they do. They do. So I really appreciate you giving me this platform to speak.
My pleasure.
I have a feeling that one of the reasons why you haven't gotten somebody in the past was probably because of giving that voice to this Boogaloo group. But that, that's just my perspective, my opinion on it. But
Yeah.
a lot of anti-fascist organizations, they don't necessarily believe in 100% the First Amendment. If it involves groups out there and individuals talking about, the Holocaust wasn't real or not enough people died.
No. Yeah. We had none of that. Is that part of some Boogaloo rhetoric? Because
I don't want to put something in your mouth or their mouth, but I just see the Boogaloo people as that they're uniting with some of the worst of the worst, and they're marching with some of the worst of the worst. So that's just my take on that. But if the individual or individuals you've had on the show renounce that, and then maybe you'd have more guests of my like-minded view.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't. Right. What I know and what I've seen with the chats and the emails and the websites and things like that, and the individuals I've talked to, I don't see anybody getting buses of people to come out there to, join with them or oppose them. We're not gonna, they could eat themselves,
Yes. And that's my recommendation for this weekend is anybody that's not a supporter of Donald Trump, stay away. Let the people expose themselves. Let us know who they are and what's in their hearts, and let there be no question about who's doing these things. And
and I was going to say that they look like they were exposing themselves. They were bragging about what they were doing on the Capitol, posting videos.
You do know that there's a video going around accusing somebody of being a provocateur, somebody in Antifa, supposedly confessing that they were part of the Capitol riots. One individual, and I don't think that should be surprising, should it? That
I don't see it being surprising because, like I keep saying, Antifa is a fictional organization. Right. The FBI said this when Trump has tried to label them, whatever. I can see somebody wanting to get some attention and making some kind of claim. But I'll tell you, in all the time I've been involved with different anti-fascist actions, 101 is, you put a mask on, you cover your face. You don't out there where everyone can see you. I know they had that false story that the Washington Times retracted that claimed that there was some kind of technology that showed there was some Antifa person there, and then they end up saying, oh, actually that's not true. But I could see somebody wanting some attention and be like, oh, it was me. But they don't need a anti-fascist person who's in an anarchist movement or whatever movement to promote. They already had Donald Trump Jr., they had Donald Trump, they had Giuliani. They had these people saying this rhetoric right in front for the whole world to see. They don't need they don't need some little group, getting them set off. And apparently there were congressmen that were involved in this, that were doing tours the day before, and the stuff's coming out, and we'll see how this all goes down. But
okay, one final thing, Billy, before I let you go. You said basically there's no hierarchy, and that no one's calling the shots. How does it work? How do people know when and where to show up and what to bring? And I mean,
so I'll give you an example. A few years ago,
without exposing anything.
Yeah, without exposing. So back in, I think it was 2015 or 2016. Back when Trump was running for, he was either running for office or he already won. There was a group in California, a skinhead group, and they came out to Sacramento. And I don't remember what their protest in particular was about, but at the end of the day, it was about recruitment. They're looking to recruit folks to join their movement. And us in the Antifa coalition, we weren't for that. They sent out mass messages to all the various groups to come out, stand up against this, stand up against genocide and white supremacy. And we came out in big numbers. It was in Sacramento at the Capitol building. They did end up having weapons, even though it's not an open carry state, but they did have weapons. There were some people that were, there were some injuries that took place, but we came out in force, 5-1, 10-1 against them, and we shut that place down. And so, you know, that's kind of what a lot of the time it's either word of mouth or it's email or chat. You know, but it's just so many.
There's no one person. There's no one person saying everybody needs to be here. It is more a reactionary factor that this is going on. Anybody that wants to oppose it, we're going to be here opposing it.
Yes, and that's and exactly, and there's and because we're you know, we support you know, all the sexual orientations, all the different races, all the different class. You know, we're very open to everybody. So there's a lot of groups, and sometimes some groups agree with the call to action, sometimes other ones don't, and that's how it goes. I just wanted, before we get off, I want to mention if people want to learn more about the anti-fascist movement and things like that, check out a lecture by college professor Mark Bray.
Mark Bray, B-R-A-Y?
Correct. He's got a lot of lectures on YouTube. He's written books about the anti-fascist movement, and he's an academic, a scholar, and he discusses this. And he also addresses the whole violence head on, and points out that over 90% of the actions, the vast majority of actions, are always peaceful. There's very few actions that involve any kind of violence, and it's usually more of a self-defense kind of thing. But I urge your watchers to check out Mark Bray and what he has to say about these. He's not some guy living in someone's basement or something. He's very good on this topic.
Awesome. Billy, I thank you for coming on and sharing. You know, that's one of the big purposes of the program is for me and others to learn, to have the opportunity to listen to sides that we're not exposed to. And I'm sure everybody hearing this did not have that perception of Antifa, the umbrella, if you will, beforehand. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
All right. Thank you. There we go. Again, that was from 2 years ago. Not his real name, of course, but for purposes of doing this show, it was, we called him Billy by the Bay or Billy from the Bay. I don't remember which one it was, but again, has been involved with what would be called Antifa. Now, it's kind of odd that we did this tonight, and we had Rooster's video. Let's check back in real quick here and see what's happening on Rooster's stream, see what's happening in LA. There we go. We've got some Antifa, Black Bloc Antifa right there. Now, it's kind of odd that Billy said, you know, that they don't, they don't support violence. And at the beginning of Rooster's stream, when she cut to LA, everything was real peaceful. And then this Antifa, for lack of a better term, came up and made all the, we made everybody take their cameras down, and things started getting really serious. Then the group of Black Bloc, let's use that term again for lack of a more definitive term, and I'm hoping to get someone on very soon here to update us, if you will, because again, what we saw was 2 years ago, but what we're seeing right now is happening right now in LA. and there are a lot of black bloc Antifa, and they did. I wouldn't say it was violent necessarily, but they did overturn some some blockades, and they spray painted on the police department, and police officers were out. It seems like things are starting to grow a little bit. So I'm going to be hopping. I myself am going to be hopping back over to Rooster's channel here in a few minutes when we're done sharing. And I'll be back tomorrow night. But before that, I'm going to hop over here to the chat, see if anybody has any questions or comments or anything. I want to point one thing out, one other thing out. Billy said, you know, I'd come on here before, others would have come on before, except you had a Boogaloo guy on. And you see, that's the problem with having, you know, trying to have an open platform where you have different people on. Somebody's always getting upset. You know, it's freedom for me, but not freedom for thee. You know, somebody's always getting upset. Well, you gave your platform to this person. We got to get over that. We got to be able to talk and listen. You know, we're not going to agree, but we have to try to talk and listen until it's just absolutely too late. And hopefully we never reach that. So I'm sure you do, Sissy. That was an interview that a whole bunch of people talked about. I was doing panels back then. I mean, panels with someone from BLM, and then a black Trump supporter, and a Boogaloo, and a NFAC, all on the same panel and having discussions, civil discussions. It can be done. Everybody's doing panels now. I'll go ahead and address it. I've got some emails. Man, you ought to be doing panels. Everybody's doing panels. Yeah, everybody's doing panels. So, you know, you can go find panels all kinds of places, and some really good ones. And I recommend you do that. I will on occasion. It's not like I'm not ever going to do a panel, but panels are hot right now, and there are a couple of places that have some really, really good panels on a semi-regular basis. And then there's some others that are just, you know, sorry. And obviously Rooster is one of the channels I recommend. And speaking of recommend, again, I'll be back here tomorrow night at midnight, and we'll do this all over again. And I might have some people up. As well, you know, as I said, the chances are the protests are going to be significant in size tomorrow in some locations, especially Memphis, Tennessee. And what happens tomorrow will tell what happens moving forward. And hopefully everything stays peaceful. If it doesn't stay peaceful, we are in for a very long, hot 2023. And I sincerely hope that's not the case. Also tomorrow, not only we're going to be monitoring those potential protests, Lori Arnold is going to be in Texas. She's going to be live streaming. Summer Dickerson is going to be in Bowling Green, Kentucky. She's going to be live streaming. Check those two ladies out, please. And we might have one or both of them on tomorrow night, depending on how things go. And we might have, I might have a couple other people on tomorrow night. Again, depending on how things go protest wise, and on what's going on. I ate a couple of Whopper malted milk balls, and I'm not sure I think that I might have let them go past the expiration because I'm starting to get a little. Ooh. Anyway, what happened to Delta? He was cool. Delta, I'm still in contact with Delta. Delta's been working on some things, and he will be back on at some point. Yeah, he is. Delta's great fun. Maxwell, yes, Maxwell is in Memphis. He went off the air right before I came on live, or shortly before. But if you want to watch coverage tomorrow, I highly recommend Maxwell Mitchell. He's one of the top live streamers in the country. I'd put him up there with anybody, including Ford Fisher. Ford's real professional about what he does, and he attacks it from a journalist aspect. Maxwell does it one of two ways. He either does it as an artist or he does it as a protester. And either way, you get the inside story. You get the actual ground level of what is going on. He's generally connected to most of the leaders. And I highly recommend Maxwell Mitchell as far as his artistic ability and his storytelling ability, and showing us, the viewers, what's actually going on. So yeah, Maxwell will be in Memphis tomorrow. Ford Fisher's traveling, and he'll be on tomorrow. I imagine Mercado Media is going to be on tomorrow. There's going, because the protests are going to start during the day in some locations and be going on all throughout the night. And again, we'll be back here. He does have a great voice. Maxwell does have a great voice. You're right. Always be kind. He may be on his bike riding around town. Did he take his bike with him, Sissy? That's my absolute favorite live streamers throughout all of that 2020. Maxwell, when he was on his bicycle, Maxwell Mitchell will live stream on his bicycle, and it's like you're in a video game because the dude is fearless riding that bike. And then Corey Elijah in Kenosha, Wisconsin, during the Rittenhouse thing. Corey covered everything on a skateboard. He was always riding on his skateboard, and that was always great perspective, entertaining amidst chaos and violence and destruction. Watching a lot of streams today, felt like I was back in 2020. Yes, Sassy. Yeah. And I'm hoping that what we've seen today thus far holds true, and everything stays peaceful, everything stays powerful, everything stays vocal. And they start hitting them in the pocketbook instead of trying, to destroy things that just create. I understand the frustration. I understand rioting is the last step of desperate people that don't feel they can be heard any other way. I get it. I do. I just hope it doesn't come to that, because the optics. And again, I think this is a time that we can progress just a little tiny bit, maybe, and come together and be able to proclaim that what happened was wrong, and it needs to stop, because this isn't the first time. This won't be the last time. And that's why people are out in the streets, in my opinion. Again, thank you for watching. I'll see you over at Rooster's channel in a few minutes. And hopefully I'll see you back here tomorrow night at midnight. We'll do late.